Okay, thank you very much, Gianni, and the Global Solar Country and Energía Estratégica for having me in this webinar, and all of you for attending this event. Hello, everyone. SER Colombia is the Association of Renewables Energy of Colombia, and we are a non-profit organization with 69 companies along the whole value chain interested in develop non-conventional renewable energy projects within the country and working on behalf of the Colombian electric market. Our main objective is to promote a diversified and competitive electrical matrix, contributing to the regulatory development in terms of technical, environmental, and commercial matters that encourage the inclusion of non-conventional renewable energy sources. SER Colombia was born with the idea of representing the interests of companies that see the potential of solar and wind resources in our country and see the development of renewable energy as a profitable business that can generate a positive impact on the environment. Colombia has a fairly clean generation matrix with 70% installed hydropower in generation, but generation in rainy seasons and generation in rainy seasons is up to 85%, which made the penetration of these clean technologies difficult to justify through mechanisms like they use in Europe, such as a green tariff. On the other hand, Colombia is a free competition market where few agents have most of the generation and brings entry barriers for new generators. Then SER sees the opportunity to become the promoter of regulatory changes that will not only allow the incorporation of new clean technologies through its projects, but also increase competition in a price-based market. This is very important. Taking advantage of the competitive prices that renewables have been having thanks to the fall of the cost of solar and wind technology, okay? Thus, SER becomes a promoter of regulatory changes designed up to that moment for conventional technologies in such a way that they were adjusted to let renewables participate in the market with equal conditions as existing generators. This being said, my presentation is based on giving a quick overview of over 4 years that go through regulation, the potential of projects that are registered in the system planner, a current and a future vision of solar technology at large and small scale to end up in what we see is the next step for the coming years in the electricity market and how this can impact the future development of the renewable business. Hold on, is it moving for you? Okay. In Colombia, we must consider the positive attitude that the national government has had towards the incorporation of renewables energies into the matrix, which bring us two important milestones that are the basis of what we have today. In 2014, Congress approved Law 1715, better known as the Law of Renewables, where the promotion of clean energy is defined as a national policy where a series of incentives, most of them are tax benefits, are established for those who develop renewable projects, defined by the Energy and Mining Planning Unit as non-conventional, including solar PV. Furthermore, it promotes the creation of regulatory schemes that allow the integration of these technologies into the matrix. This involves a boom of companies that see the opportunity to bring their knowledge acquired in other countries and a boom in projects that we will see later on, okay? However, everyone find out that the structure of contract market is not friendly because the terms are curves, which basically are the needs of the clients. And moreover, these needs do not adjust to the generation curves of the projects. It is there where we promoted the second milestone that becomes the Decree 570 of 2018 to create a grounded detail of the public policy generated by the national government based on climate resilience, free competition, energy security in each region of the country, the complementarity of resources. Remember that our matrix is clean but exposed to climate change, as it is based on hydroelectricity, and finally, the reduction of emissions. Based on this policy, it is necessary to ensure that supply and demand can find a common place to make renewable projects viable. Finally, the decree promotes the creation of a long-term contracts auctions, which entails the first auction of long-term contracts for projects that meet the policy guidelines and that I just have mentioned. You must know that we are a little behind in other countries that have these rounds and these auctions already based on their DNA. So we are trying to push these auctions and start to see more mechanisms that I will talk about later. Okay, this slide contains some figures that speak for themselves. We see how the project booms confirm the quality of the resource, especially solar, the solar we have in Colombia, and makes this technology the most attractive for local and foreign investments. Now, seeing the capex and the time to market is very interesting, but it also has an entry barrier. The clients, most of them, whether from the free market or CNIs, or from the wholesale market, are looking for 24-hour generation. So here the registered projects at the planning unit, as you can see, the capacity of the approved connection, that have approved connection concept is huge for our country. Since our matrix is 16,000 megawatts total, we have here 8,000 megawatts total. So it is very, very likely that this generation is going to have a good boom here in Colombia. Okay, so large scale milestones. Now we're going to connect regulation with real life. You don't always see them hand in hand. So in this case, the path led us to carry out 2 auctions in the same year, almost at the same time. The first one is the expansion mechanism that the electric system adopted after 1991, 1992 blackouts. That was a very huge milestone in Colombia, this 91, 92 blackout. And this is the reliability charge auction. And the second is the auction of long-term energy contracts that arises from Decree 570 that I already mentioned. The first is not designed for renewables. The variability of the source punish the firm generation of renewable plants. However, it is an additional income for 20 years in US dollars. Okay, it's the only US dollars income that have, or in US dollars income that the plants may have. The second is the one that is designed so that the projects have long-term financial contracts, not physical as in other countries, which allow them to have financial closure in a difficult sales market for solar generation. This is the auction awarding and how they both worked out just fine. I think they worked just fine. The LTC auction was successful since the goal for the installation of new plants set by the national government was achieved at a very competitive price. And in the reliability charge auction, 8 renewable plants were awarded as well. See, no, even though there was the scheme works out for any technology, there was not a big bet on renewables plants to participate in this auction, but 8 renewable plants were awarded. Right here you can see the red square. These 3 plants were awarded in both schemes. The long-term contract auction balance. This slide shows the path that the awarded bidders had to work through, where it is worth noting that the voluntary mechanism was a positive balance since 22 out of 23 bidders were awarded. And the mandatory mechanism, because it was divided in two parts. I'll talk a little bit about it later. 18 more were awarded in the mandatory mechanism. It allowed the entry of an additional project of 75 megawatts. The competition was hard, 24 bidders, 4 awarded. But if you consider that this was the first auction, I believe, in the history of government-sponsored renewable auctions, where both offer and demand came to the auction voluntarily, it's a big success. Okay, this is an important milestone, because normally the auctions are made for the offerers, and the government buys this energy. Okay, right here, the distributors came voluntarily to the auction, and both found this common place I was talking about in order to have this positive balance. Which are the prospects of large-scale projects? First, the big question is whether after this achievement, the government will decide to call a new contract auction or not. From Ser Colombia, we see that this can happen. It's short or medium term, maybe, and we are looking for this positive experience to be repeated sooner than later. On the other hand, the regulation now allows us to carry out auctions very similar to the one that has just occurred last year, but without the intermediation or sponsorship of the government. This new mechanism for signing long-term contracts, mentioned by Resolution CREC 114, is for us an interesting path for distributors to use this mechanism to complete the mandatory 10% that they must meet as the National Development Plan stated on 2022, and they must meet these energy purchases, and we hope that it will be implemented soon. Which are the small-scale milestones and challenges? Moving to this topic, we also have focused on self-generation and distributed generation, where we see important challenges, especially with distributors. The distributors are very reluctant to this kind of generation, as you may know why. But the drive given by SER for the issuance of Resolution 30 of 2018 allows the simplification of connection procedures, a regime of sale of surplus energy to the network that has benefits for the generation, such as prices with incentives, and the obligation to purchase by the distributor. However, we must continue to dive into the details as there's still uncertainty as how the network support contracts will be implemented, since they are currently not equitable, and the barriers and technical requirements imposed by the distributors can make a small project economically unfeasible. Okay, now let's talk about project finance and maybe barriers or opportunities. We like to see opportunities where some others see barriers. In these moments, COVID-19, where uncertainty is where the uncertainty is in the news every day. It is time to take advantage of the space to talk about the risk and show our financial colleagues that these are manageable and must be assumed by whoever best knows who manage them. Okay. The cold truth is that the lack of knowledge of the electricity market and spot volatility generate mistrust in long-term contracts that do not have full support, but do generate cost overruns or extra guarantees that make the project no longer competitive, okay? Financial institutions can have a greater opportunity in the renewable business if they better understand how generators can help manage risk by being solid in analysis and rigorous in monitoring the project revenues. Okay, which are the prospects? Time is up, but I want you to have this slide, these last slides where many things are taking place with the energy transformation mission and the review of the existing regulation that the regulator is doing right now. Our market is feeling the pressure of new technologies, and we think it's ready to make an upgrade, energy market 2.0, so to speak. You will find a couple of backup slides when you get the presentation, and I hope this was useful for those who want to learn more about our country. Thank you very much.